Okay, Pamela. Welcome, everyone. Tessa is going to welcome you also.
Thank you, Gail. I just realized that I was on mute. And this is life, right? This is how life happens. It's not always smooth sailing. And especially when Chiron turns up, or Chirone, as I've come to know his name in a different dialect. Well, with such a small, lovely little intimate group, I'd just like to sound your names. So, welcome, Morning Star. Beautiful to see you with the star in the background. And Benita, welcome, Little Bear. Lovely to be beside you. Welcome, Sharon. Lovely to be beside you. Pamela, Mali, Gabri, and Gail. I just got to take a moment to take a deep breath here. Um, it's been a bit of a flurry of a morning and afternoon where you are, and I'm just feeling deep gratitude to be able to land myself back in a place and take a deep breath as we stand at the helm of co creating together in sacred space to do something like a ritual dance. And that to me is in the busyness of our daily lives and just the way the world is at the moment, to be able to stop and drop into a sacred space and tune in to something as immense as Chiron and co-create with these heavenly bodies, with these stars, with these planets, that oftentimes we might see ourselves as being quite separate from them, but in reality, they are also us. So, what does that make us? Amazing creators, creators of our own lives, and co creators of the sacredness, which is also who we are. So, deepest gratitude to my sister Gail for continuing to make that call, for continuing to create the space for the sacred to unfold. And deepest gratitude to the other key players. I say players because it is often like we play together in a sacred way. And this is to Mali, otherwise known as iPhone on this screen, who is like the gel. You know, Mali stitches us all together and is so inspirational in the magic that she brings to this space. And please don't step away, Gabri, because I'm about to call on you, or at least to acknowledge you when you decide to stand and walk away. That's not fair. And you're holding the balance here. You're holding the masculine. We are a container of feminine, the sacred feminine here. We're strong in that. But Gabri, who is also the creator of this wonderful music that we are going to be moving to, is holding that masculinity, which is also us, which is also us. So Chiron showed up in a very strong way as far as being aligned with the and in conjunct and with the sun shining light onto those parts in our lives that carry the wound. So every now and then he shows up in a big way And this wound is part of the cycle, and it's part of us, just like we are the divine sacred. The wounding is also part of us. So this dance that Yelta called in, and Gail picked up on the call as she does, always ready to participate and create. This dance was created for each one of us who have shown up for ourselves today, to allow space for the wound to transmute through our participation and our willingness to see it, to feel it, because there really cannot be any healing unless you see it and you feel it. So thank you, Gail, for showing up again and again in these beautiful sacred ways that you do so generously and wholeheartedly, but still in this beautiful, kind of mysterious way. You never really know what Gail's going to come up with, but you can be sure it's magic. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yes, and thank you, Tessa, for being part of this magic. I'm going to start by telling you how our Cherokee prophecy ties into Chiron and the horses and the dance and the ritual and the transformation that we're about to experience. We are in the fourth world right now, and we're on the edge of the fifth world. When we came in this original wave of humans, as I like to say, and I ask you all to reach back to the beginning of this original wave of humans, where we all have ancestors. We have common ancestors. And we can ask them to join us in many ways. Sometimes with the plant medicine. If anybody has some sage that they would like to light at any point in this gathering, I welcome you and encourage you to share the sage with us on your screen when you're ready to do that anytime. And also, there's a song that calls in our ancestors that was passed to me from a Dagaroo elder. Thank you, Gabri, for lighting that sage, and Molly too. Thank you for sharing that with us. And let's sing together this song that calls in our ancestors from that original wave of humans. I actually recently discovered that two of my grandmothers, one on my mother's side, a great grandmother on my mother's side, and my grandmother on my father's side, actually go back to an archaeological site that records a village of the original humans. So we go all the way back to the Paleo Indian ancestry, and some of us have always been here in this homeland, in this connection to sacred earth and sacred place and the spirits on the earth. So let's call to those people, even if you don't know them, they know you. They know all of us. So join me in a quick little song, however you will, vibrate, hum. However, I don't mind the delay that Zoom gives us. Just frequency feels good. So however you want to do it. Parasamane, parasamane, parasamane o, parasamane o, paramamane, paramamane, paramamane o, paramamane o, parasamane, parasamane, parasamane o, parasamane o, Paramamane, 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 oh, Paramamane, oh. And so we feel their presence and their warmth and their love, and we recognize them as part of us. And the Cherokee prophecy says we came in the first world with teachings from the water. And then we moved to the second world with teachings of the minerals. At that point, we moved to the third world with the teaching of the plants. This is our food. And then we moved into the world we're in now, which is the fourth world, and the world where the animals are teaching us. And I encourage you to listen to the voice of the animals. It sounds a little different from ours. It's not as loud sometimes, but it's very much guiding us and showing us by example different ways to live. And all of these four worlds have brought us to where we are now. And we can look back and see their teachings, and we still receive teachings from the water and the minerals and the plants. And they are all preparing us for the fifth world, which we'll be stepping into soon, and becoming our most human. That's the goal, for us to realize our potential, which is way beyond what we have experienced at this point in the fourth world. And if you watch the animals, you see them communicate in a different way. For example, if you listen to the plants, they will tell you the medicine that you need. If we listen to the water, she will help us become more human. She will help our sweet Mother Earth. And we will actually be able to realize how much all of this is a part of us. Earth, air, fire, and water are the elements that make us all who we are and what we are as unique individuals. And so I will pass to Molly, who is going to share with us the Chiron myth, and then she's going to share the hand movements of the dance, and we'll let that sink in while we go back to Tessa, who's going to read the Rumi poem for us just before we go into our dance. Are there any questions before we go on to the myth? Okay, Molly, tell us about Chiron, please.
Hello. Hello. Thank you, Gail, and thank you, Tessa, for welcoming us all so lovely. And hello, everyone. Namaste. I say hello to the soul in you. I'm Mali, and I'm joining from London. Yeah, I'm gonna try to share the myth about Chiron, which we all feel were really called to, because the more we were looking into it, the more we felt it really resonated with us. So I'm gonna just do the little introduction, but I would encourage everyone to look deeply into it, like afterwards as well, if you haven't by any chance. So the Chiron, in the Greek myth, the Chiron was the wisest of the centaurs and the archetype of the wounded healer. He was accidentally wounded by an arrow that had been dipped in the blood of the Hydra. In his search for his own cure, he discovered how to heal others. In teaching others the healing arts, he found a measure of solace from his own pain. The wounded healer understands what the patient feels, as he has gone through the same pain. The suffering patient can be cared for by the healer, and each encounter between healer and patient can be transformative for both. The lesson of Chiron teaches us we can overcome the pain and transcend into a knowledge. Each of us can become a wounded healer. Thank you, Gail, for holding us in this beautiful space. It's always such an honor and privilege to be in your company and also in everyone else's company in a community. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
And now I would like to share with you a poem by Rumi that is poignant for this gathering. Wound is a place, by Rumi. Trust your wound to a teacher's surgery. Flies collect on the wound, they cover it. Those flies of your self-protecting feelings, your love for what you think is yours. Let a teacher wave away the flies and put a plaster on the wound. Don't turn your head. Keep looking at that bandaged place. That's where the light enters you. And don't believe for a moment that you're healing yourself. There's so much wisdom in just those few words. And like Mali's introductory to Chiron, these words of wisdom, just allow them to settle in, not only in through your hearing, but through the pores in your skin. And just have the willingness to participate with the words and the spaces between them.
Please thank those birds too, Tessa, for joining you in that beautiful reading of the poetry of Rumi. Okay, I want to encourage you to allow the horses to dance through you. Chiron was half horse, half man, as a centaur. And feel that in your body. He came into the sky May or April 1st, I think, with the new moon. And he took over all of our lives. He just really bounced us into creating this piece for him. My dear friend Yelcha, who's also in London, 75 years old and a beautiful wisdom woman, had gone through a tremendous healing process with me doing dream work in the Jungian way. And she shared a little bit of her experience, which you can find soon on my blog if you want to hear a little more in depth about her process. And then she said, why couldn't I have done this sooner? So much of my life would have been so much easier if I had gone through this process and seen myself much sooner and seen my wounds and felt my wounds and let them stew in that pot of transference, holding the tension that comes up when these wounds are visible to us. And she had such a whole family experience of healing in this that she just immediately said, will you create a dance so that we can share this, so that we can all dance with Chiron as the wounded healer? And then it just kicked me into gear, and I tried to pass it to Gabri and just said, you start the music, I'll journey and I'll bring you a drum beat as soon as I can. But I feel like, in our last community sharing, we didn't get that one recorded, but we called in our power animals and Gabri called in the horse. And then it came to Yelcha, and then it just showed up in such a beautiful way in this piece. But we all worked really hard, and we all found the gifts that we can only find in community, those inner gifts that we can't easily see in ourselves. It's like thinking that we're healing ourselves. It's so much easier when we put it around us to everyone in community, and it comes back full circle to us, and it comes through that transference and those projections. And that's not the comfortable part. That's the extremely difficult part, to hold that tension. In every one of our guided transformation dances, we hold tension at some point. We build our awareness when we do this, and we balance body, mind, and spirit when we join in this way and we dance in this way. There's so much going on all the time that we are not aware of, but we can easily become aware of when we make these sacred rituals a practice. And so I encourage you to open to the guidance of your soul. Let your soul dance. Your soul has the ability to be eternal and present in this moment. It also has the ability to be us as a single drop of water, and the collective as the ocean when we all come together like this. This is the beauty of this dance community. We all come together, and we may just be a little pond right now, but we experience that transformation from the drop to the body of water. So let your soul dance through you, but keep your senses. You may need to lower your eyes a little bit to feel your soul and to let it dance through your body, but keep your awareness of your surroundings so that you're safe and you've got that balance, that tension between the unconscious and the conscious. And that's what we build with dream work too. And so we're going to go through some hand movements that bring us all together. We're going to dance the way we dance, and then we're going to just become one by doing the same thing with our hands. So don't worry about what you're doing, and you can choose. Pamela is going to mute us all. She's going to start the music for us, and Molly's going to go through the hand movements now as I try to describe them, and if I forget any, she's going to help me remember. So we're going to start out the music. Gabri brings in the sound of the horse hooves, and we're just going to gallop with our hands and do whatever our body wants to do, whatever our soul wants to do. If the horses want to come through us and we want to paw and we want to kick up our heels, that's there in the music to remind us. But we're going to start out just like this, and then we're going to wipe our face We're going to wipe off any authenticity that comes of the persona that is a mask that we wear. We're going to wipe that off because we want to be as authentic as possible. And so we're just going to rub our face and wipe our face and clear all that. And then we're actually going to paint our face. We're going to step into the choice. And in the Selagi way, when our life changes, we paint our face and we change our name so that everyone knows our life has changed. And we come through these transformations in a way that is obvious to everyone. Sometimes it's more obvious to everyone than it is actually to us that we have transformed. And it's a before and after experience. You'll find yourself saying things like, well, this and this and this before this happened, and then this and this and that after this happened. And there's a reminder that you've come through a transformation in your life. So we paint our face to reflect those transformations. And then we need to put on blinders. You see the horses in the city, they're not concerned with everything around them because they have their blinders on. And these are the same blinders that help us focus on the wound. Once we find our wounding, sometimes it's the wounding of our lifetime, and sometimes it's just a stage, a reason, a season, a lifetime, or a lesson that we're moving through. But we still need to focus on these wounds, and so the blinders help us do that. And then as Chiron enters, you can hear his hooves, and they sound a little different. And he is wearing the arrow, and he actually created the poison. He was showing Hercules how to make the poison for the arrows, and he accidentally wounded himself, or it was Hercules' arrow that wounded him, but it was an accident. And that was the wound that turned him into the wounded healer. And he was immortal. So he couldn't heal himself, but at the same time he couldn't die. And so he had to live with his pain. And he realized the suffering and the place that he was in. And he chose to make a deal so that Prometheus, who had been chained to a rock because he stole fire from the sun, wanted to be immortal. And Chiron actually did not want to be immortal with this wounding. And so that's when he traded his situation with Prometheus and helped him heal and gave him life. And then he became the constellation. He was able to move into the sky and become the constellation that was only discovered, I think, in 1977 by us. So I'm sure he's been there all along, but we only saw him. He moved into our orbit and into our science in 1977. So we're gonna own that by acknowledging that he's wearing our arrows and we're wearing our own arrows. So when you hear his hooves, go ahead and shoot your arrows. Acknowledge and feel what that feels like, so that you can recognize those arrows when they come into your life. Okay? And then that's what's going to move us into infinity. So after we shoot our arrows, we may, at any point in the dance, we can return to our hooves and our gallop and whatever feels good to us. We can always come back here, and Pamela's going to pin the three of us along the top row, and then the rest of you, if you're comfortable with your dance being in the recording that we're making, she will pin you also. She'll spotlight you. And if you're not comfortable, just send her a quick chat message and ask her not to pin you. Otherwise, we're all going to dance together, and we're all going to be visible in our dance. So whatever you're comfortable with, this is your moment of choice, which becomes critical in each of these opportunities. So I'll give you just a minute to do that, and you'll hear in the guidance, you'll hear all of these as a reminder with the music. And then we talk about stepping into infinity. And when we do that, we're just going to feel the energy of our palms together, and we're going to gently make the movement of infinity as we dance. And this is the point when Chiron enters and you hear his hooves, and they sound so different. This is the point where the shamanic drumming comes in. And I did this journey and sent this drumming to Gabri, and he just made it magical the way he placed it into the music. And it is so much music that was the first healing. It actually is associated with the word pharma. For pharma, you know, we've turned it into pharmaceuticals, unfortunately, but in the beginning, it was music as healing, and it still is music and healing. And so that's how we just feel the infinity with the energy between our palms as we just make this gentle infinity symbol, because this is the language of our soul. Symbols and images are the language of our soul. And here we are in our playground as community in the fourth dimension, playing with our toys of symbols and images and music and magic. So let yourself just feel that and step into the magic now. Does anyone have any questions before we start the music and start the dance? Yeah, just unmute and ask anything you need to. And let us know when you're ready to go. Okay, looks like we're ready, Pamela. If you want to mute everyone and then start the music for us. Gallop with your hands as pounding hooves running, kicking, snorting, spiraling back to center, circling into herd community. Kinship and creativity regulate energy flow. Connect to earth, pawing, kicking, up heels, power instinct, intellect, intuition, self-reflection. Dance all of this for almost 2 minutes now. Wipe the mask that's inauthentic off your face. Pat down your suffering to release your love for what you think is yours. life-changing actions from the heart, bypassing the ego and persona, and traveling straight to the spirit and soul who listen for the ancient and universal instructions embedded there. Put on blinders to help you stay focused on the wound. Chiron, the wounded healer, enters us wearing the arrows we flung with our self-protecting feelings, bringing emptiness. Through not knowing, we learn to recognize the numinous and allow the emotions, activate initiations and healing with projections and the mirror of transference. Feel the pain, own our actions, then shake off the hurting like the animals do in shock. Feel our mane finding freedom in the wind. Reparations come, and sensitive support of all with compassion. Step into infinity with awareness. Reconcile sun and moon. Balance human and animal, fire and water. Trust the mystics and let the light enter. Music is the medicine of numinosity, accessing emotions. Healing is in the wound. Hidden wisdom is empowered yet vulnerable. Rumi says, don't believe for a moment that you are healing yourself, for it comes only through the kinship of helping all. Heartfelt healing is acceptance and endurance, clarified into action-based living with our own wild nature and numinosity. Carl Jung knew the numinous as the power of nature to heal the human soul. Look beyond belief to the knowing in direct experience.
If you want gallery view, you have to do it on your own computer.
Thank you, Pamela, for starting up that music and spotlighting and all that you do. Thank you so very much. How does everybody feel after dancing? Do you feel the difference in your body? Do you feel the energy and the transformation and the shift? Take a moment, catch your breath, take a drink, take care of yourself. Whew. I love seeing how alive everyone looks at this point. I love seeing the energy that we've stirred up and feeling the community when we all do the same thing. Does anybody want to share about their experiences? We're almost at our 1 hour point, but we can go a little longer if we want to share our experiences. This is actually how we avoid appropriation of native ways. We talk about them after we experience and during the experience, and just talk in community, and we go deeper and deeper every time we talk and share our experiences. So anyone who would like to share an experience of this dance and this gathering is very welcome to just unmute and speak, or you can also, share the horses that danced through you if you feel like you want to share any of your horse stories, or your horse memories, or your wound memories, or anything you want to share. We're open and we're here for each other as community. So please just unmute and share as you wish.
I want to share that that I could feel my inner peace coming within my little bear. I saw my little bear prancing with the horses, and it brought so much peace inside of me to run with the horse. Thank you all for sharing your love with me.
Oh, thank you, Anita. Yes, thank you. That's so beautiful. The bears and the horses, I always think of them together. That is so sweet. And bears a very big part of the journey as well, the work that I do. Thank you.
For me, the transformation came when we were doing this, and what I saw and felt were butterflies, and one was one side of the wing, the other side was the other side of the wing, and it was just a symbol of wholeness. That's what came up for me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sharon. That's very sweet. Anyone else want to speak?
I was surprisingly engaged in the transformation steps. It was really lovely to feel them. It was like, wow. Wiping, and then, you know, and feeling myself and my movement as the horse feet. I'm really getting accelerated by that feeling now. I can still feel that, just the being that being, and it was lovely. And I really enjoyed repainting my face. And then there were a couple of things that came up, like, oh, I was getting creative about how that was going to look. You know, it's like, oh, I could do this, and then I could do that. You know, it was really fun. I enjoyed it. So I really thank you for that. I'm very obviously new to any of this and quite shy around, you know, being too open, but I really loved it. It was wonderful, and I love movement. So I had a hard time on my computer connecting, so I couldn't hear well on my phone. So I had to kind of stay where I could kind of hear a little bit of the song, but I hope it'll come through over the recording a little better because it was lovely. And I really thank y'all very much for holding the space for this to happen, and that I got to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Morningstar. That's sweet. That's a beautiful transformation. Yeah, it is interesting how it just, kicks into our native ways when we embody the movement. Here's the difference. We could sit here and talk all day, but when we move our bodies, all that body wisdom comes forth, and it is amazing. It is just incredible.
I agree. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Any more sharing?
I might share if that's okay. Yeah, the more we are dancing, the better it feels. And I think after we finish this, I might just play it again and dance it one more time just to feel a little bit deeper. Because the more, yeah, we're feeling into it, the better it really feels. And so, yeah, and I really liked at the end, after the infinity move, and that kind of energy in between the hands that he felt. And holding a hands and a heart, it feels like the gallop of the horse is in my heart, the gallop of the Chiron is in my heart, and it's keep beating, and it brings the healing where it's needed in the heart, and that was really strong for me. I'm very grateful for this space and for your guidance, Gail, and I'm really so happy to hear everyone else sharing. So wonderful to be all with so many of you on different parts of the world. Thank you ever so much for holding this space, and thank you, Tessa, again for introducing us all so lovely. And it's just so nice to feel the warmness of from your parts, and the birds as well. They brought so much joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Yeah, that's beautiful. Very sweet. You've got a lot of energy to dance again. That's great. Tessa or Pamela or Gabri, you want to share anything about your dance?
Thank you. Yes. First of all, I want to say a really warm thank you to Pamela. I didn't mention this in the beginning, and I want to acknowledge that. And I'm still waiting to see you dance, sister. And you keep saying next time. Yeah, thank you so much for handling this techie part, which we all. I'm wondering whether I have some wounding around the techie part because I'm always like, oh, I don't want to go there. So that may be something that I need to look into. And with the dance, I really appreciated this movement where the space was given to just focus on that wound. Because it's something that we often don't allow ourselves to focus on the wound, to give it the space, to honor it. Because if the wound is the teacher, then shouldn't we go there often? Isn't that where we need to go? So I really enjoyed that, and I actually felt very comfortable there. It was like a giving permission to be in that space where I can just focus on the wound and I don't need to worry about anything else. Just allow it that space. So that to me was my sweet spot. And that is transformational because ordinarily the wound is where I don't want to go. And then to come into infinity and feel the timelessness of our existence. Again, that was transformational, especially with what's been going on with me lately. I'm rushing around trying to juggle and handle, but I have an eternity. So bringing that remembrance back, there's all the space that we want, that we need is here. So that movement brought that for me. And it was beautiful. In fact, when we were first practicing the dance, I remember saying to Gail, is it supposed to go on this long? It kind of feels like an infinity. But I'm so grateful for that. Yeah, so thank you again, Gail. And yes, Marley, always coming back to the heart. Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, this is where it's at, in here. So again, deeply grateful for each one of us who show up for ourselves, even in our shyness and in our vulnerability. So thank you, Morning Star, for presencing that. We are in community and we are here for each other, and I'm so grateful for the space. So thank you again, Vinaka.
Manaka Tessa, thank you. You know, that's an excellent point. It is the safety in community and the safety in the connection with our soul in the symbolic setting of a community and the repetition of dancing again and again. Each time we dance, we go a little deeper, and then as we come into community, we feel a little safer, and we actually, as part of this process, we discover our gifts that some teachers say we only can find in community. Our culture doesn't support finding our gifts, and we have to come into community like this and do the work and do the repetition and keep coming back and keep talking and sharing in order to get to that depth of finding our own gifts and bringing them into the community and then out into the world. That is such a huge gift to our culture. If we can contribute in this way, I think we will have a collective transformation. So anybody else? Pamela or Gabri, do either of you want to share?
Yeah, I'm so happy to take part in these, and I'm realizing that the last couple of months I've been turning on some music at night and just dancing in my apartment when it's dark and no one's here, and it feels good. It feels good to move around, and yeah, so I think this is having an effect on me. Thank you.
Sweet. I'm happy to hear that. The balance of body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for all you do. You do so much and take so much of the burden of me, off of me. So I really appreciate your abilities. Ah, and Gabri, our music man, how can we give you enough credit? How can we give you just the amazing gifts that you give us in this music? How can we give back to you the beauty of it, the healing? Is there anything you want to share? Okay, we
I
got
wonder if he's asleep.
we got Molly's still hands are still dancing, talking to
And
Gabri.
but didn't you mute him, Pamela? And do you have to unmute him, or can he do that himself? Okay.
Yeah, he could do it himself.
Okay, well, we'll just all send our appreciation and love and gratitude through the ethers, through the vibes, like the animals do, without the words. They're very effective. Let's all send our love and gratitude to Gabri for this amazing music that dances us. Yes, thank you so much. And let's check out his new album on Bandcamp. Everybody go there and look for Magish. I think I might have actually messed up the pronunciation again. Molly, you can correct me if you want to. Did I get it? Okay, Magish. It's a beautiful, beautiful album that he just released. So I encourage you to go dance with Gabri on Bandcamp also. And I'll share a little of my experience. I was surprised that a lot more movement came through with this dance. I've practiced and, you know, lived it as we were creating it. And still, it surprises me. Every time we come into community, it brings so much more energy and so much more life force. That fire in our heart, I feel it wake up when we dance in community. So to do both is very balancing. And thank you all for the opportunity coming here to do this together. And we hope to see you on May 1st. We're going to keep dancing these 5 dances until we have a request for another dance. And we're happy for a little bit of a break because it's been kind of hard work, but we're getting it down pat now, and it's going pretty smooth and quick and just amazing us all together as we create each dance. But 5 is enough for us to keep cycling through and just to get the community effect. So we invite you all back to the same place, same time. It will be on May 1st, which is a Sunday. Might be a little easier for some people, so definitely bring your friends and dance in the meantime. We'll post this on YouTube, and we've got the other dance practice video on YouTube for you to join in as well. And if you get to the point where you don't need the guidance and you just want to go with that beautiful music flow, it's on SoundCloud with just music, and it's also on SoundCloud with a 3-minute piece that Gabri put with the shamanic part of the drumming. So if you just have 3 or 4 minutes and want to do a short version, just feel into that drum, that's been here in ceremony on this sacred mountain for 15 years in traditional sweat lodge ceremony. That's been the drum. So it carries a lot of spirit help and spirits of the land and spirits of the ancestors, the mountains, the stones, the trees, the water. Everything here moves into the drum and moves into our body. So thank you all so much for being here. And we'll say goodbye unless someone has something they want to add. And you're always welcome to. And Pamela, whenever you're ready to stop the recording, we hope to see many more people coming into this community and dancing and transforming together here.